Hi and welcome to this Leaving Cert Higher Level Applied Maths video. In this video, we're looking at the 2025 Higher Level exam paper and we're going to work with question 8, part A. This is a difference equation question. So on Monday morning, the symptoms of a specific infection were detected in 5 students. On Tuesday morning, the symptoms were detected in an additional 12 students. A local doctor predicts that the increase in the number of new infections detected on a given day will be twice the increase in the number of new infections detected on the previous day. The doctor wishes to model this prediction as a difference equation so as to determine UN, the number of new infections detected on day n. Write down a difference equation to express un plus 2 in terms of un plus 1 and un, where n is greater than or equal to 0 and n is an element of the integers. Okay, so these kind of questions can be very, very tricky. And this one was, there was quite a lot going on. So let's do what we can to make it as easy as possible for us to come up with a difference equation. So on Monday morning, the symptoms of a specific infection detected were 5 students. So this is effectively going to be our U0. So that's how many was at the very start. Then on Tuesday morning, we have U1, which is 12. Now, why don't I start at 1? Well, they told me n is greater than or equal to 0, so I'm starting at 0. Okay. Now, in this case, if you start at 1, it would work out, but it may not always. So just be really careful. And when I say work out, it means we're not ever going to get like a negative number of people. So just be really careful with that. So here we have U0 is 5, U1 is 12. So the statement that kind of builds the difference equation is this. So a local doctor predicts that the increase in the number of new infections detected on a given day will be twice the increase in the number of infections detected on the previous day. With this thing here, this will be our like equals. That's what's going to make our equation. So the bit in yellow, the increase in the number of new infections detected on a given day will be equal to twice the increase in the number of infections detected on the previous day. If you're feeling confident to go straight to that, absolutely do. Most students will struggle with that. So, what I would suggest that you do instead is we think of it in terms of numbers. So, what I mean by that is let's think about U2. So, the increase in U2. So, when I work out my U2, the increase, so it's not the number in U2, it's not number on Wednesday, it's the increase in Wednesday. So, that's Wednesday, take away Tuesday. That's going to be twice the increase that Tuesday saw. So Tuesday very clearly saw U1 minus U0, which is that 12 minus 5. We can do that a little bit better. So U2 minus U1 is equal to, so let's say if we did U2 minus 1, which is 12, will be twice of U1 minus U0, which is 12 minus 5. The difference there is 7. So they saw an increase in 7. So the increase here will be equal to twice the increase the day before. So if you can make sense of that, we don't have to go any further on that, but effectively now we can generalize that to un plus 2 minus un plus 1 is equal to 2 un plus 1 minus un. So if you can do it for the days that we have, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then you're going to be able to translate that into a more general difference equation. And most students find that the easiest way to work. Now, some students might be able to go straight to that. And if you are one of them, great, go for it. Absolutely. But just be careful not to rush in because this question, if you get this wrong, the rest of your question is going to be wrong. So that's not a big deal. You will only be penalized for error once, but it could make the question much more difficult, or it could make it that you actually can't do the rest of the question. So just put the time into creating your difference equation, put your time into practicing this. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here. You don't have to at this point. You can absolutely wait until we need it, but chances are we are going to need it. So we get un plus 2, bring over our un minus our un plus 1. So that gives us 3, negative 3, negative 3 un plus 1s, and then plus 2 UNs equals 0. And now that it's in this form, it makes it very easy to answer this question. Is it an homogeneous difference equation or an inhomogeneous? And the answer is homogeneous. And the reason it's homogeneous is because it is literally equal to 0. There's only UN terms. In the case of inhomogeneous, we will be expecting additional functions, so no extra terms, such as like a plus C or a plus, or like a plus AN plus B or etc., anything like that. If it had any of those, it would be an inhomogeneous. So that's two kind of ways you can go about talking about it. They only have UN terms, or there's no extra terms. So there's no additional function. And inhomogeneous is in the form of this equals to a function. So now it asks us to solve this difference equation. So we've already kind of done our expansion and so on. So let's put this back down here. UN plus 2 minus 3 UN plus 1. Sorry, here it is. Much neater than I can write. And we're being asked to solve it. So let's bring through our U0 and our U1 as well. So this is UN plus 2 minus 3 UN plus 1, and that was plus 2 UN equals 0. Our first step is to make the characteristic quadratic equation, which is going to be x squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. Factorizing that, we get x minus 2 and x minus 1. So that gives us x equals 2 and x equals 1. So we're using our different root theorem. That's our alpha and our beta. That is Tn is equal to L alpha to the power of n plus m beta to the power of n. So for us here, that is Un equals L. I said my alpha is 2 to the power of n plus m 1 to the power of n. So let's work with our 2 bits so we know U0, that is L 2 to the power of 0 plus M 1 to the power of 0, and that should give me 5. That gives me L plus M equals 5 as my first equation. Then I have U1, that is L 2 to the power of 1 plus M 1 to the power of 1 equals 12. That gives me 2L plus M equals 12, and that becomes equation 2. So then L plus M equals 5, 2L plus M equals 12. Let's change our signs on this first equation, and that's going to give us L equals 7, so M equals minus 2. So our final answer for this is UN is going to be L, so that's 7, 2 to the power of n plus m, which is actually a negative, so minus 2, and then 1 to the power of n. And that's our final answer. So that was a nice, straightforward solving here, but the tricky part of this question was making sure that we had the correct difference equation to begin with. That was where it went wrong, or it could go wrong for students. Because if that's incorrect, you end up maybe with something like a quadratic that doesn't have nice roots, or even a quadratic that couldn't be solved, and you might end up with something even stranger. But if you got that part 1 correct, and it's worth putting the effort into part 1, then we can work through the rest of this question relatively quickly. So part 4, calculate the total number of infections detected between Monday morning and Friday evening. So UN is equal to 7, 2 to the power of n minus 2 times 1 to the power of n. So be careful here. What they've asked for is the total. So remember, Monday is our U0, and they told us there was 5. Then Tuesday, they told us it was 12. We need to work out the rest. So Wednesday is U2, plug that in, we get 26. Thursday, U3, plug in 3 into that formula, get 54. And Friday, U4 is 110. What they mean by Friday evening is if they said between Monday and Friday, it might be ambiguous. Does that mean we're counting Friday or not? Here, they're basically saying if we count the infections every morning, we have Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning. And then we stop counting Friday evening. So we're not including our Saturday. So we're basically summing the first 5 terms. Now remember that those terms start on U0. So our answer here is 207.